It is somehow finally the end of January. This feels like the longest month ever, but that means it's time to do my January reading wrap up, and also I'm going to tell you what books I want to read in February. So this month I actually had a surprisingly good reading month, given that last month was so bad. I think what did help, first of all, I've been sick. I've been sick for like the past few days, so I've read a couple books, but also I did a massive haul in one of my previous videos, and so I was like super excited about the new books that I bought. We're going to start with a book that I actually bought ages ago, I can't even remember, and that book is Almond by Wong Pyun-sung. I believe this is a Korean book, and I've rated this book 4 out of 5, and it's about this young boy who he struggles to recognize emotions in other people's faces, and he also struggles to emote those things himself. He isn't really scared of things because he doesn't understand what the consequences are of certain things. Then this tragic accident happens within his family and he is left all alone, and at this point he meets this other boy who is super troubled himself. It's about their friendship and how they kind of help and hinder each other. I think it's so interesting to read from completely different perspectives to your own, and this is so different. I just thought it was a very solid book, especially for my first one of the year. I'm very happy. The second book that I read this month was Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield, and I've rated this 3.5 out of 5. This book is about 2 wives, and one of the wives goes on a submarine research trip. She's only supposed to be gone for 3 weeks, but she ends up being gone for 6 months, and no one knows why. And then when she gets back from this trip, she's completely changed. Some really like creepy things start happening, otherworldly things are happening to her. Very, very strange. What I really like about this is that each chapter is told from one of the wives' perspectives. In one chapter you'll be up on the surface with one of the wives, and then in the next chapter you'll be down in the ocean with the other wife. So you're kind of seeing how it happened and then the aftermath of whatever the hell happened. If you like tied up ends, then this book probably isn't for you because you don't really figure out what happened to her. It's very unsettling. So book number 2 of January, also very happy with. And then I go on to an even better book. I read I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman, and I rated this book 4/4.5 out of 5. This was so confusing but also just amazing. I've heard so much about this book for so long, and again this has been on my TBR for months. This book is about 40 women who are locked inside a cage and they are guarded by men. None of the women know why they are there. None of them can really remember much from the time before they were there. And then out of the 40 of them, there's one girl who pretty much spent her whole life in this cage, and eventually it's about their escape. Again, if you like tied up, neat endings, this is not for you because you just don't know what happened, why they were there. There's no reason. The main thing that I got from this book, it was about community and how literally no matter what your circumstances are, humans can just adapt to it. On top of that, it was about this young girl pursuing knowledge even though she had no reason to use that knowledge. She'd been in this cage her whole life, but she still wanted to learn things, and I think that's a really important message. Anyone in the world should be allowed to learn, should be encouraged to learn, no matter what their circumstances are. And it's also a reminder that you can learn just for the sake of learning. You don't have to use your knowledge to do something with it. You can learn purely because you enjoy it. Third book of the year. Amazing. The fourth book that I read in January was actually one that I started last year. I read about half of it last year, and then I got really bogged down with uni work. I didn't forget about it, but I just didn't feel like going back to it because it's quite intense. That book is Cursed Bunny by Bora Chung, and it's translated by Anton Her. Again, I think this is Korean. This book is a collection of short stories, and they're all like super twisted and really weird. I kind of noticed themes of like womanhood, patriarchy, capitalism running through all of them. Some of them I didn't like, some of them I really did like. So I have rated this 3.5 out of 5. I just think it's so creative. How do people come up with these types of stories? This one kind of challenged me also because I kept trying to think of like the moral of the story, or like what is this story trying to show. I think if I'm really gonna understand this, I'm gonna have to read it again, but to be honest I don't really want to, because I'm gonna show you what happened to mine. All of the pages just came out. So as you can see, it was really fucking annoying to read. I don't think this happens with every single book, but yeah, that's what happened to mine. If you like really weird, strange, creepy, kind of disgusting books, this one's for you. My 5th and final book that I read in January, again I've been meaning to read for years, and that is Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. I have rated this book 4 out of 5. It is about a newspaper journalist who goes back to her hometown to report on the murders of 2 little girls. She has to spend time with her really difficult mother. She also has a half sister who's 13, and she's also really difficult, and there's a lot of like small town gossipy type things. I just found this really gripping. You get to kind of piece the story together with her. I will say, like, massive trigger warning for self-harm and abuse, like everything. It's a very intense book, and I've actually also started watching the TV program of this, which is like even more intense maybe. It's not a 5 out of 10 because I've just read and heard a lot of stories about this type of crime before. My mind wasn't blown. Maybe if I had read this when it first came out, I would have been way more shocked, because not many people had kind of started talking about this before. But it doesn't mean that it's a bad book. I still really enjoyed it. Those were all of the books that I read in January. I read 5. My aim was to read 4, so I'm very proud of myself. Now onto my February TBR. I'm only going to show you 4 because my goal is every month to just read 4 books. The first book is one that I've actually already started, but hopefully I can finish it, and that is I'm a Fan by Sheena Patel. This book is about a woman who's dating a guy, and she's like super obsessed with him, but he is also seeing like lots of other women, and I'm pretty sure he's also married, and so she's kind of stalking him and all of the other girls that he's seeing on Instagram and Facebook. So far I'm not loving it, to be honest. If I don't like it by page 100, I'm gonna just DNF it, because I'm trying to be better at that this year. Like, if I'm really not enjoying a book, I want to just sack it off because I don't want to waste my time. It's not what I was hoping it to be. It's not bad so far, like I am kind of enjoying it, it's just a bit meh. That's the first book that I might or might not finish in February. The next 3 books though I am actually really excited about. 2 of them I've already talked about in one of my previous videos where I did a haul, and those are Notes on an Execution by Dania Kukafka and The Discomfort of Evening by Lucas Reineveld. I was told by one of you guys actually that the author has changed their name to just Lucas. I believe that's because they've changed their pronouns. So the next book that they release is gonna have their like proper name on it now, which I think is very exciting for them. So this story is about a serial killer, and he's due to die in 12 hours. And I think we hear about the stories of the women who survived him, a mother, a sister, and detectives and stuff like that. My cousin read this book. She said she loved it. She pretty much exclusively reads crime, so that's a really good sign if she liked it. And then this one is about a 10-year-old who is neurodivergent, and then like this horrible tragedy happens in their life. From then on, they start having these really weird fantasies. So many of you have been telling me it's like really twisted. Honestly, it only intrigues me more. So yeah, I'm really excited to read this one. And then the last book that I hope to read this month is Babel. Is it Babel or Babel? I think it's Babel by R.F. Kuang. Who hasn't read this book by now? Probably just me. I've been waiting for the paperback. It's a stunning book, by the way. I'm really happy that I waited. So this is a historical fiction and it's set in 1836. This is not my usual vibe. I don't really read historical fictions, but everyone's been raving about this, and this author, because I believe this author also wrote Yellowface. This place, Babel, becomes a prison. To be honest, I don't know much about it, and I know I said that I would research books more before reading them. That was one of my New Year's resolutions, but this is just gonna have to be one of those books that I trust everyone else. These 4 books, hopefully I'm gonna get read in February. I'm not counting on it since I'm going back to uni tomorrow, and I feel like I'm gonna be really bogged down with work. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you've read any of these books and whether you enjoyed them or not. And yeah, I'm gonna see you in my next video. Bye.